Smith, John, I think his name was, and he married, no, his stepdaddy married Betty Hightower. She was a widow, and she had a stepdaughter from another marriage, and the stepdaughter, her first cousin, Bubba, dated the accuser. And then they had a little girl together, Victoria Price, who was third cousin removed from Ruby Bates.
Now, can you tell us what happened on the train that day, March 20, 1931?
Yes. My grandmother said that Mark Poker asked John Smith...
Your Honor, I object. The accusers are not on trial. They already admitted to lying. Scottsboro, Alabama's judicial system is on trial.
Sustained. Mrs. Mitchell, what is your point here?
Well, Your Honor, just trying to give a flavor of the history.
Your Honor, can I say something?
Yes, you may.
Life, liberty, and justice for all. What those teenage boys went through was terrible. It was a travesty of justice. It was racism run wild. I love all people. My baby's daddy is American African.
Thank you, Miss Blue.
The only crime these boys committed was being black.
Thank you, Miss Blue. No further questions, Your Honor.
Mr. AJ.
No questions, Your Honor.
Miss Blue, you may step down.
Okie dokie. Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Your Honor.
Counselors, please. Your summary to the jury. Mr. AJ.
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, these young men, the Scottsboro boys, were tormented by a judicial system that didn't like the color of their skin and chose to try them again and again with all-white Southern juries who didn't care about their welfare or the truth. The youngest was 13. What happened to innocence until proven guilty? Our country was built on "In God We Trust." Didn't that include the judicial system of Scottsboro, or not? Should our country, the land of the free, sit idly by and allow and permit such behavior to go unpunished? One accuser recanted her story, and yet trial after trial ensued, calling witnesses after witnesses, testimonies after testimonies, and none were on that train that ill-fated day. Appalling. You had 9 teenage black boys looking for jobs and 2 white women drunk on the same train, whose lives were destroyed by a lie, and we the people allowed such a miscarriage of justice. The judicial system stood by while Scottsboro played havoc with innocent lives. Honestly, what was on trial during the Scottsboro affair wasn't simply the truth or even the innocence of 9 young black men, but the United States itself and the foundation on which it stands. What happened to justice, freedom, and liberty for all? Ladies and gentlemen, what if these boys were white? What would have been their outcome? A slap on the wrist, if that. 9 trials these boys were subjected to, year after year. This is an embarrassment. Nothing in history accounts for this type of treatment, and it is an embarrassment to the United States judicial system, and yet we turned a blind eye to the whole thing. 82 years later, They are given a pardon? This is a joke. Well now, 82 years later, Scottsboro, Alabama should be found guilty and forced to pay for this bloodstain ingrained on America's history. The system, the lawyers, the judges, and Scottsboro, Alabama should be found guilty. I beseech you for restitution. Scottsboro, Alabama, and its entire judicial system must be forced to pay financial restitution to the families, provide equal job opportunities, scholarships for every Scottsboro, Alabama, boy or girl who desires to go to college for the next 9 years, and be monitored by the federal government until Scottsboro, Alabama can prove itself free of bigotry, racism, and injustice. In closing, what if the Scottsboro Nine was your brother, your son, a cousin, a relative, or white? The very least we can do is allow the spirits of these boys to be set free with a guilty verdict to Scottsboro, Alabama, and its judicial system. Thank you.
Counselor.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, my colleague is right in his summation, but we are all human, and humans do make mistakes. I agree what happened to these boys was ugly, but we gave them a pardon, trying to make amends, saying we were sorry. Sometimes you try to get blood from a turnip and just can't happen. Many bad things happen to lots of people. Black, white, brown, but life goes on. Least we should do is try to get along. Losing young lives is painful, but a mistake was made. We can't undo that. Trial after trial proves they were trying to get it right, trying to give these boys a chance, but it just didn't work out in their favor. Scottsboro, Alabama admitted its error with a pardon. They did. I hope you can find it in your heart to find them involuntary guilty. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, you have heard the case, and I beseech you to search within your heart and do the right thing. Do not be swayed by emotions. Focus on the facts. Having said that, has the jury reached a verdict?
Yes, Your Honor.
Great. May I have it? The jury finds Scottsboro, Alabama, guilty. Scottsboro, Alabama judicial system, guilty. Ladies and gentlemen of the court, may this ruling serve as evidence that this type of behavior will no longer be tolerated. It must cease and desist and not repeat. I hope this country has the intestinal fortitude to sit up and look at what this tragedy of racism and injustice has done and the pain and agony it caused. Court adjourned.